Everyone, I am so honored and privileged to be opening up today. My name is Bobby Spiegel. I'm the president and CEO for the Corona Chamber of Commerce. We have our Corona business briefing today. For those that are brand new, maybe you're listening to this on a recording, or maybe you're here live with us on our weekly call. We do this every single Wednesday, typically. Now, next week, we will actually not have a meeting because a group of us are going to Washington, D.C. to advocate on behalf of the business community in our region. But every single week, we host this meeting. We feel it's a very big part of our chamber. And one of our board members is Jeff Miller, and I'm going to be introducing him in just a moment. However, Anthony, if you could be so kind to start that song. And it is Jeff Miller's birthday today, so we just thought we would start with the right song. So let me tell you a little bit about Jeff Miller. So Jeff serves on my board of directors. We have 26 individuals that are business owners or top managers of organizations throughout our community, and they set policy, and our professional chamber staff takes care of what their plans are and what they approve. One of those individuals is Jeff, and one of the programs that the board has promoted to go ahead and fund is our advocacy and our legislative outreach. And we do that in numerous ways. One day every week, we put this call together. And in doing so, we find a lot of research and go in pretty in depth on some of the bills that are being proposed or some new laws that are being taken care of. And each week is a little different, but there's a common thread in there. And the common thread is working with our advocate, Jeff Gibson, but also having our chair, Jeff Miller, be able to handle things and make this thing flow very smoothly. Jeff is a former elected state assembly member. He served the city of Corona in that capacity. While he was doing that, he still had his own insurance brokerage business. Prior to being on the assembly, he was a Corona city council member and mayor several times over and helped all the businesses in our area. What I love about Jeff is his ability to work with multiple different people. But when he's on this call here and when he is talking to legislators for us and with us, it is a focus on an understanding what it takes, what you have to go through on every single day with dealing with employee retention, dealing with the high costs that you have to operate your business, whether it's paying a utility bill or whether it's working with vendors, whatever it may be. Jeff understands that, and he is just the perfect person to be able to be the chair for our advocacy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the birthday boy, Mr. Jeff Miller.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you so much for the birthday song by the Beatles. And thank you, everyone, for your comments that you're putting in the chat. I appreciate that. And every time I have a birthday, I always say, if I knew I was going to live this long, I'd taken better care of myself. But I'm doing it's good. It's all good. And we got a special day planned. And again, I want to thank you all for the recognition. I appreciate it. So with that, let's get right into our business briefing. Today's meeting is sponsored by California Baptist University. Cal Baptist is one of the top private Christian colleges and universities in Southern California. They believe education is multidimensional and should extend beyond the classroom. With the wide range of academic options that are offered, they help you explore and get a better understanding of your life's purpose. Thank you, Cal Baptist University, for sponsoring this meeting. On the bottom, there's a little chat button, and you can use that if you want to ask any questions. And with that, I would recognize our chair, Paul Bender-Badesha. Hi, Paul Bender.
Hi, good morning, Jeff. Happy birthday. Good morning, everybody. Thank you to Annette. She's got London as a background in honor to the Queen. So it's been a momentous week.
It has. It has. Thank you very much. Paul Bender, did you have anything else you wanted to cover?
Just a couple of things.
Okay.
I wanted to just talk about the fact that a lot has happened in a couple of weeks. Last week, I just did payroll for it, had Labor Day, and it's a tough, we support good rights for employees and so on, but at the end of the day, we can only have that if we have profitable and successful businesses and organizations. So I urge everybody to support us as we go to Washington, D.C. and advocate on your behalf, and not only for for-profit businesses, but for education, for a strong infrastructure, for decent healthcare. Everything is interlinked, as we know. But also I wanted to encourage everybody to come to Good Morning Corona on Friday, because we will have a candidates forum for the City Council. As the Corona Chamber, we cannot be successful by ourselves alone. Our businesses operate in a bureaucratic environment, right? Not only from the state, but also from the city. And we need city council members that will advocate for business, but also go out to bat for our business, sometimes with their own internal structures. So I really encourage everybody to come along and ask pertinent questions of our city candidates, so that we can continue to have our businesses and organizations thrive in Corona. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Bender. Yeah, we are looking forward to hearing from our city council candidates. As you know, they have a direct impact on the quality of our life, and it's really important we get an understanding of what they believe in, and how they see the business community in their candidacy. So with that, I want to thank Peppermint Ridge for joining the call. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Jim. Please put your information in the chat, and people can get a hold of you. You're still hiring, correct? Yes, good. Hiring, jobs. Fantastic. With that, I'd throw it over to Anthony for announcements and updates.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And with that, I do want to, as you all know, hold on one second, let me get back to it. As Paul Bender and Jeff mentioned, we are having a really important meeting coming up, and that is our Friday Good Morning Corona event, which is this Friday. We have over 150 registered attendees, so if you have not registered yet, please do so. I will put the link to register in the chat. It is going to be a really important and interesting meeting, as Paul Bender and both Jeff mentioned, that these city council members who are up for re-election and their opposing candidates will be there. It is your turn to ask them any important questions that you feel necessary that will affect your business or will affect you as a Corona citizen. So please make sure to attend, and we might even have an exhibitor table left. So if you are interested in being an exhibitor, please register now or contact us here at the chamber and we can get that sorted for you. And with that, that is the only chamber update that I had. So I want to pass it over to Jeff.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. Looking forward to seeing everybody on Friday. With that, let's get right into the meat of the matter. I'd like to introduce Jeff Gibson. Jeff Gibson owns Occidental Communications Group for over 35 years. Jeff has specialized in political campaigns, government affairs, government relations. He's specialized in areas of the environment, transportation, housing, the criminal justice system, and a variety of other topics. As you can, if you've been on the call, you know and understand his wide breadth of knowledge of these issues. And with that, Jeff, it's all yours.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So this, what we're going to be doing today is going through the better part of the agenda for us, and for the Washington, D.C. trip. And so wanted to give everybody the opportunity to see that. So let's just jump right into it. So we're there September 16th to the 22nd, September 16th and 17th. We have tours of historic monuments, including Mount Vernon. We have several members that will be laying a wreath, a memorial wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown on the 17th. I'm sorry, on the 18th, the 17th being Saturday. We're going to be in Mount Vernon, and so very full. So you can go down to slide 9, Anthony. What you're seeing here is the agenda magazine for the trip. And so we have meetings scheduled with, we have a confirmed meeting with Senator Feinstein, and we are negotiating a meeting with Senator Padilla to go over a number of details, including our progress on reducing vehicle miles traveled, which at this point numbers around 6 million, economic issues, with the passage of the obviously misnamed Inflation Reduction Act yesterday, having the longest stretch of core inflation above 6% in the last 42 years, and energy and infrastructure funding, and health and labor policies. So we have a number of issues to discuss with them, and so at the we're going to go through a portion of this just so you get an overview, and then we're going to get into what the actual agenda is. Anthony, if you can go to slide 11. We're going to be meeting with Representatives Calvert, and Ken is going to be having a lunch with us at the Capitol Hill Club, which is a private dining club across Capitol Hill. We're going to be meeting with Daryl Issa and staff, and Representative Takano and his staff as well, talking about the same issues that we have regularly discussed, which are the need for more infrastructure funding, obviously, not just for the 9115, but finishing the Prado Dam project and the repainting of the spillway, to federal recognition and protection for our employers. And we've had a great deal of success with those regularly. And if you, Anthony, even go to the next slide, this really gets into what our schedule is. As you can see, we're packed the 18th, the 17th, 18th, 19th, all of the, we're going to be all over the district, walking about 2 to 3 miles a day. All of the expenses are borne by the participants of the trip themselves. And so this is a really important thing to remember. And we really appreciate that people are taking of their time and their treasure to join us on these things. So, and the trip runs basically through Wednesday, September 21st, when we finish, as we typically do, with a private lunch with Congressman Calvert. and then break from there. Anthony, why don't we go to the last slide? And this really is our agenda discussion. So we always start with a 5 to 10 minute primer on who we are as Corona. Obviously, Congressman Calvert knows, but it's difficult for Senator Feinstein or some of our the other offices we work with. We'll be working with the state of California Legislative Office. They have a legislative office in Washington, D.C. We work very closely with them on military affairs, but so that they can understand exactly who we are as a community. Residents of Corona, looking at the blue box first, residents of Corona average 8 hours of commute per week. There's 168,112 of us, about a 1% growth rate, which is increasingly unusual. Many of the cities around us are no longer growing. So when the governor is talking about how areas are growing, Costa Mesa, for instance, has lost 3% of its population in just the last 3 years. So it's not unusual to have cities of our size or smaller losing residents. Our median household income is $88,434, which is about 65% higher than the national median income. So lots of professional jobs, 82,235 jobs, so about one job for every 2 residents. 77% of those are white collar or what we would consider smart manufacturing jobs as well. When looking at housing, there have been 21.8% of the homes in Corona were built after the year 2000. And the year 2000 is important because starting in the year 2000, the city of Corona started to keep up with its infrastructure on an ongoing basis. The city council changed a longstanding policy. Previous to 2000, the city of Corona rarely participated in RCTC meetings, almost as a point of pride. And so there was very little in the way. In fact, I can tell you, I negotiated with I negotiated on behalf of the county of San Bernardino when I was their federal lobbyist with the county of Riverside on the raising of the Prado Dam. And RCTC at the time could not get the Corona representative for RCTC to attend the meeting. And so therefore, the region lost out on about $300 million worth of funding, which would have created a span bridge of where the 71 freeway is now. Because of that, well, starting in 2000, we started to attend RCTC meetings and we started running RCTC meetings. And now because of that, you have a 91 freeway that has been expanded, a 15 freeway that is being expanded. You have Foothill Parkway. You have a lot of different solutions that have at least made the problem palatable. And what we're trying to do is not keep up with current development as much as deal with a decades-old backlog of where infrastructure is, and to continue to play a key role in the picture of the region. And so, but going on, 44.7% of Corona residents have a college certificate or higher. So that's about average with the rest of California. So very high attainment of for education. And if there's any questions, happy to take them. But then we could go right into what we've done and our federal priorities for the year. So do we have any questions so far, Anthony?
There are no questions so far, so feel free to continue.
All right. So soaking it up. So our first and headline If you've been in on our Sacramento trips, we talk about this, and the reason we emphasize this is because of the fact that this is a key part of any infrastructure discussion in the within the federal or state government, and Jeff Miller can back this up, that the federal and state rule going back now 7 years has been to build a road or to expand a road. You have to prove that that road will actually not just lessen traffic, but lessen the amount of vehicle miles traveled. So the thinking behind that, the game that we're competing in with all of the other communities of the country, is that roads not only lessen traffic, but they lessen the reason for traffic. So you're actually traveling fewer miles. It seems completely and totally odd to anybody that doesn't work in a building with a dome. But when you're going for federal or state or public monies, that's the rule. And so that's why if you spend any amount of time working with us, we emphasize that we are the only community in the state of California keeping track of the VMT we are saving as opposed to producing. And that way we compete better for these funds. And so we, through our Corona 2020 partnership, have saved over 6 million vehicle miles traveled, according to calculations from Caltrans and the Federal Department of Highways and employers like yourself, while also producing more than 2,500 new jobs. And so that is something that really opens the door when we're talking to the elected officials. And then we get into our location and the emphasis that that Washington, D.C. is placing on where they would like to make their federal infrastructure investments. That's on career building. And we are the home of career building. So we're at the crossroads of the supply chain for America, one of the first of many thousands of crossroads. We are home to one of the most technologically advanced naval installations in the world. And we're home to 82,235 careers because almost all of our jobs are in smart manufacturing, healthcare, or other white collar pursuits. So that's a big, big part of our equation as a community. And so we want people to understand that. And then finally, we are building for the future. There has been heavy investment in Corona's roads, in Corona's infrastructure in the last few years, but, big but, there was a backlog going back 35 years, in which 45%, 1 out of every 2 of the homes that were built in Corona were built between 1980 and the year 2000. And during that time, as I've said, there was very little regional or national or activity to keep up with that on the funding of infrastructure. And so a backlog was obviously created. And so that's what we're still trying to deal with. It's getting better. We're not saying it's cured. We're not saying it's solved. It's better. And we're trying to make it better. So our 2022 priorities that we're dealing with are funding for the 9115 and supply chain infrastructure. And that includes rail, that includes anything that moves across the surface of the earth and the surface of the roads that we call home, and support for natural gas and energy infrastructure. 1 out of every 2 electrons floating around in your office right now were produced by natural gas. The state of California has cut its climate change footprint by over 40% using natural gas. Natural gas energy use has never been higher. Unfortunately, California's climate change strategy still does not include natural gas. And we wanted to make sure that since we were in Washington, D.C. 6 years ago, when the war on natural gas was declared by the Sierra Club. We very regularly focus a good deal of our attention on making sure that the federal government recognizes that natural gas is a very important part of the nation's ongoing energy strategy, especially since China has now announced that they are going to be bringing on more coal plants than America has shut down over the last 15 years. So I want you to think about that, since America was in Glasgow earlier this year, rejoining the Paris Accord, that under those Paris Accords, China can open an unlimited amount of coal-fired plants and is going to be producing more coal-fired brand new plants. And if you saw the Beijing Olympics, there are so many coal-fired plants in and around Beijing that they actually ran the ski jump next to one. It was a wonderful visual. But under the agreements that were signed by the administration earlier this year, it is perfectly valid and within international law for China to open more coal-fired plants between now and the year 2030 that have been closed since 2007 in the United States. And so if we're going to be closing coal and we're not arguing over that, then you need to be protecting where 1 out of every 2 or close to 1 out of every 2 of your electrons come from, which are natural gas. And that's a key part of our infrastructure. In addition, our Corona manufacturers, being in the South Coast Air Quality Management District, use a lot of natural gas fired technology locally to maintain their air quality, their required air quality strategies. So it's a big important part. And then finally, our last 2 priorities that we're going to be discussing, and in each of these meetings, the meetings themselves are about 30 minutes, and you're meeting with an elected official that comes with their own agenda as well. So more opportunities for on-the-job and classroom education is a big key for us. It has been. You've probably, if you've hung around the chamber, you can understand that. And then lowering the cost of federal regulation on employers, because while there is a glut of open jobs and a glut of employees, one of the reasons that they're not meeting in the middle is because of the cost, the physical cost of employing a person when you are opening the job. There needs to be more flexibility within that system. And that's what we're advocating for. So happy to answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, we can go from there.
Thank you, Jeff. We have no questions that came in the chat. I don't know if Jeff Miller has a question or not, but there are no questions in the chat.
I do not. Jeff, do you have anything additional?
That's it so far.
Does anybody have any
at times.
So I'd like to just close out with a couple of things. Of course, Friday, we talked about our Good Morning Corona breakfast that we have. We have a few seats left. We do have to call on our final count. Please let us know. You can either connect directly with Anthony or with us here at the chamber. You can go online and register. The bit.ly on that, I think Anthony put into the thing, but if you'll go ahead and redo that, resend it in case anyone wasn't on at the time. But it's a bit.ly/GMC SEPT 2022 SEPT SEPT. It's all case sensitive, but with Anthony putting it in there in the chat box, you can just click on it and you can register. We'd love to see some additional folks there if you want to. We will be asking questions, submitting questions to be asked by our panel, and it should be a good meeting. And then I just want to publicly thank Jeff Gibson. He is coordinating our trip with all the different meetings and the elected officials and their representatives and the various speakers for our Washington, D.C. Legislative Summit. This is something that is coordinated directly as our chamber. We don't do this with other chambers. We don't do a combined effort. We do it because we want to be focused on our platform and what we are looking for. So I just wanted to say, Jeff, thank you so much for all your hard work. Looking forward to a great trip. A lot of us leave right after Good Morning Corona. So thank you guys so much. And Jeff Miller, thank you. Happy birthday to you. And that's all that I've got.
Thank you, Bobby. We did have a question come in the chat, and I think the answer is that it's in the state budget that was just passed, but maybe Jeff can polish that up a little bit. Question came in is, where can I find info about California's purchase on the coal spot market?
That was part of the final portion of the budget. It was pretty extensively reported by the Sacramento Bee. The governor commented on it in the closing days of the legislature, which was why he changed his and added a climate change provision that included essentially barring new oil and gas exploration in the state of California, and so that would get into that. But we can all research that and get that back.
Okay.
Yeah,
Leah,
it's $17 billion worth of purchases.
okay. We'll research that specifically and report back on our next meeting. Leah Peterson had a question.
Jeff, thanks for the background information on natural gas. One of the, obviously I represent Southern California Gas Company, and it's an energy and infrastructure company. But what I've found to be really effective is that particularly the individuals who are attending and meeting with the elected officials speak to issues that are particular to their local circumstances. I know we have Vulcan Materials. They have an aggregate, gravel, asphalt manufacturing company, and that is under attack because of California's climate concerns. That is something, if Vulcan can provide some of their own local details of what's impacting their industry, particularly in Corona, since they are an employer in the area. For myself, I know that the city of Riverside is currently looking at passing an ordinance that eliminates natural gas. They're looking to vote on that in November. And we know that electrification is something that is moving forward, but how and how much will it cost, particularly to local individuals when they have to revamp their homes for all electric appliances? Hal Binder, she represents and has an employment company, training, funding, opportunities to get people a little more educated with better skill sets. Those are things that she can speak to that really impact the types of jobs that will be available and that can be a match for the people that she's trying to get employed. So those are some of the facts that people can bring from their own industries. And that would be great to be even have prior to us going out over this weekend, that we have that type of a meeting where the individuals on the trip can bring their own local statistics, stories that they can share with our elected officials, who usually get focused on issues that dominate from the Eastern United States area. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. And I look forward to the trip. I think it will be very productive.
Thank you, Leah. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, and just so everybody understands kind of the structure of how the trips work, and to kind of put a finer point on what Leah was talking about. So we have the elected official or the staff in a meeting space with us, or the expert. We go around the room. Each participant gets the opportunity not just to introduce themselves, but to provide that type of information. So I appreciate you saying that, Leah. And there's a forum in each of the meetings that we have listed in the slides here for everybody to do that. So
thank you, Jeff. Anthony. Thank you, Jeff. In wrapping up, we'll put up our state legislators' contact information. If you need to reach out to them, there's their phone numbers and email addresses. And I want to thank just a few folks that are on the call. Annette Demont from Riverside County Office of Education.
Can I say something real
And-
quick?
Sure.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. I just wanted to let everybody know that we still have schools to be adopted in Corona Norco area. So if any of the businesses, faith-based groups, or individuals would like to get involved in adopt a school program from RCOE, please contact me. My information's in the chat. Thank you, Jeff.
And
Very
Jeff,
much.
Jeff,
Yes.
Corona Regional gave me an update. They had to bounce off the
Yeah.
call. They're very low on COVID right now, so, but is really requesting anyone to get out and get their flu shots now, either at Corona Regional or go up to Kaiser or wherever, but get vaccinated on the flu shots, okay?
Thank you, Bobby. I'd like to thank Jason Scott for jumping on the call. Jason is a former city council member and mayor. Thank you, Jason. And with that, I just want to thank again today's sponsor, Cal Baptist University. Whether you're transferring from another college or just looking to further your education, CBU is a launching pad of opportunity with resources to help you build your life and live your purpose. Learn more at calbaptist.edu. And thank you, Cal Baptist, for the sponsorship. Be sure to join us September 28th, right? That's our next one. Next week, we will be dark because of the trip to Washington. And thank you all for attending, and I hope everybody had a great summer. It's hard to believe that we're already in mid-September. Boy, where does the time fly, folks? Other than that, we will see you on Friday, hopefully, and or on the trip to Washington, D.C. And this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Jeff Miller. Thank you, Jeff Gibson. Thank you to all of you.